So, our first guest is an award winning TV correspondent and producer, educator, and a journalist for over 25 years. She tells the stories of Nuestra Mujeres on a wide range of topics, including health, wellness, parenting, entertainment, fashion, food, and Hollywood on Latinas on CUNY TV. She is the co curator of Fresh Fly Fabulous 50 Years of Hip Hop Style at the museum at FIT, which is an exhibition that showcases fashion through the roots and evolution of hip hop, along with co editing the accompanying book. And here to share more, we welcome award winning TV correspondent, producer, journalist, and Fresh Fly Fabulous 50 Years of Hip Hop Style co curator and co editor, Elena Romero. Yay! Llegamos.
Yes, we have.
Welcome, 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 and
Thank
congratulations.
you. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for being here. And to introduce you to our audience, I would like us to just really share your story before we start talking about the actual event and the exhibition as well as the book, because considering it's Women's History Month,
Sure.
I think it's important that we share what it took to get us to where we are, because we're showing when we've arrived, but there's a lot of work and time and decisions that really go into just, I guess, surrendering into whatever the universe has presented, right? And I'm saying this only because I know some of your story
Sure.
as a single mom to three. So let's give everybody a little background on how you've arrived.
Sure. Well, I'm a New Yorican from Brooklyn, New York, and I am the first in my family to go to college. I early on knew I wanted to be a journalist and studied television at NYU. And life took me in a different direction. I ended up starting my career in print journalism, working for the now defunct DNR and the prestigious Women's Wear Daily. And I started covering fashion. I was, a fashion enthusiast and became a fashion expert overnight. And that's how I got introduced to this topic of hip hop, going from the participant to now the expert and the observer.
And so how many years ago was that?
1996.
All right, so we'll say Generation X.
Absolutely. I had just turned 50 with hip hop.
Look at you, look at you. And what a privilege that must feel, right? Or feel like to have in growing within a culture. Not only watching it evolve, but being part of its evolution.
I mean, it's a fascinating story and journey. Being a woman in my teens, I got introduced to hip hop really first through film. I didn't have that proximity as my cousins did in the Bronx, and
Right.
so around I was probably in the mid '80s. I had a cousin who was living in Hunts Point who had gotten himself into some trouble, and my godfather decided, well, let me send him to Brooklyn to avoid it. Not that he couldn't find trouble in Brooklyn, which he did.
Right.
But that was the best thing that happened for me, because then he was sitting on my brownstone stoop. He came with his big boom box, and now I'm realizing, though, he was giving me oral histories, telling me what was happening at the jams in the park, and that was kind of my first, real life experience of touching someone who was experiencing it, and then I was experiencing with watching television, Ralph McDaniels on Video Music Box.
So what was your first song? Because I know my first song, and I was very young, because I don't care, I'm not dating myself like that. I'll be in serious denial. I live in denial. But my first song was Rapper's Delight. And I got to tell you, it was so important to me that we printed up all the lyrics to memorize that song.
Wow.
I know that song. To this day, I know all the lyrics to that song.
Well, you're better than I. I would say, something that always sticks out and talk about interesting connections is Lottie Dottie, right?
Right.
And it would turn to be that Slick Rick wrote our intro to our book.
I
right?
know,
So
I
how
saw
fabulous
that.
is that?
That's amazing. That's amazing.
And one of the earlier songs that also has fashion references. So when you think about, I wrote a chapter in the book that talks about fashion lyrics through music. And that's, one of the earliest songs that I could really think about when we're talking about, Polo Cologne and wearing Gucci, whether we were really wearing Gucci or not.
Right. And I know, right? All that mattered was that it looked like it.
That's right.
No, because you brought up Slick Rick, and he's a Bronx Hall of Famer, right? Or Walk of Famer, I should say. And he wrote your introduction, and I read it. Let's just break down the terms that were chosen to title the book, right? Because
Sure.
that was also discussed at the top of the entire book, which I think, for those who are not down with Ebonics,
Well, it was intentional. I mean, these are different words over different periods of time that we use, those of us in hip hop, to describe how we dressed, right?
Right.
And a lot of it has to do with our forms of expression and wanting to stand out and our individuality.
Right, so fresh.
So, think about fresh and so clean, right? So, I'm pretty prim and proper,
Look at you. I'm gonna be like, you know what? I'm gonna back you up. La-di-da-di.
got it. There you go.
And then you go so fresh, it's so clean. All right, next.
Right. You're thinking about Outkast right there, right?
Next. And so fly.
Well, fly, I'm thinking about being a fly girl, right? And of
Right.
course, that means we're wearing our hoops always.
Right. Fly girl. A fly girl. A fly girl. And then next we have, of course, fabulous.
Yeah, and fabulous, that's more of a 90s, 2000s term, right? Thinking about that era of, luxury and bling.
Yeah, I don't know if I have a song to accompany that one. Nothing comes to me immediately. And then, of course, there's the 50th anniversary of hip hop.
Yes, how exciting.
I know it is exciting. And what's really exciting about what you've presented in this book is these images that are really geared more towards the fashion, but you definitely get a sense of like who's hanging with who, and also you're also paying homage to the stylist that will play a strong role in the look, right? And so let's just talk a little bit about what that trajectory looks like with regards to, I know there's chapters that really focus on nails, there's chapters that focus on colors, of course sneakers, denim. Let's take everybody just on a quick
Sure. So
little
when we
tour.
think of hip hop, we think of kind of the official elements of that, right? The MC, the DJ, the b-boy, b-girl, the graffiti artist, and the knowledge. Fashion becomes kind of this unofficial sixth element. And this is a wonderful time to really examine its roots and evolution. So many of our Black and brown designers are unsung heroes and may not have the same notoriety that other designers have for all sorts of reasons. So the book is really almost a collection of essays, an anthology written by academic scholars, hip-hop journalists, fashion journalists, who are all truly connected to the culture. And in that, we have a wide range of stories. I mentioned I wrote a story about the fashion lyrics in music. I also cover hair, but we also have stories about nails, shoes. A lot of times when we think about hip hop, they only think that we wear sneakers and denim and t-shirts, but there's a lot in terms of our footwear, influences like, from England with British Walkers and Playboy and Bally shoes to tailored clothing. And custom, of course, is a major theme, throughout the 50 years. And that's everything from custom jewelry, whether that's, your name chain,
Right,
your
the name
your
earrings,
name
the bamboo
earrings, the
earrings
bamboo
with the
earrings
name,
with your name on it, right? Your brass buckle name belts.
And the Adidas with the thick laces.
I'll go one step further. Do you remember those felt iron letters that we used to put our names, our crew, our borough on?
Yes, I
The
do.
same place who made the name belts would
Right.
actually put the felt letters on, right?
The Army Navy store, the Army Navy.
Absolutely. And then you have, our custom designers. So, you head to Harlem, of course, everyone knows the name Dapper Dan, his 24-hour, 7-day-a-week shop where he would make you MCM, Gucci, Louis Vuitton in his own design. A lot of people don't even realize he had a custom body shop in East Harlem. So not only was he customizing the clothes, but he was also customizing the rides way before Exhibit did Pimp My Ride.
Oh, wow.
So, and of course, also there's other custom designers that people may not know about. You have 5,000.
And that's in the book, too.
And
I just
all
want to
of this
clear. I just want to, everybody to know.
in the book and reflected
Reflected.
also then in the exhibition. So
Right.
in the exhibition, we have over 50 lenders, over 150 objects that really span the decades. We don't do the exhibit chronologically, but rather thematically. So there are a number of themes that we cover.
All right, so we're looking at some images of the exhibition.
Sure. So this is a 14-piece exhibition by Hoop 88 Dreams, followed by, you see some of my donations. The name belt is actually a donated piece that I gave to the Museum of FIT. And of course, Jenny Bowie's nail technician, Cardi B's nail technician, who did those lovely bling nails that you see there. And some old school images. You think about Converse with the fat shoelaces,
Kangol.
the Kangos, of course, and the gazelles.
And the gazelles. Oh my gosh! Look, and we're going through it. We're actually giving you guys a quick
So
virtual
you're
tour.
seeing a little bit of everything from what we wore on the streets, what we wore in the clubs, the influence of media, Spike Lee, New Jack City, and of course Beach Street. That's a jacket owned by MC Sha Rock. And then this gives you some of the performance wear, everything from the Polo Ralph Lauren Snow Beach jacket, the Willie Esco Major League Baseball jersey, outfits by celebrity, worn by celebrities, everyone from Lil' Kim, Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion, Chance the Rapper, Doja Cat. You see that outfit
the
there?
one in the middle. I'm not in the middle, the one to the right.
That she called the Worm. In fact, that's a Tom Brown outfit, and I gave Tom Brown's team a personal tour, and they were able to set the record straight. I wanted to know what was the design inspiration. And some people thought maybe Hungry Caterpillar. In fact, it was the Little Mermaid.
The Little Mermaid. How is
Yes.
that related to the Little Mermaid?
The colors, I'm sure, but nonetheless, we were able to get that information on our personal tour. So that was a great fun fact that I was able to find out.
That is a great fun
Yeah.
fact because it's one of those things that really stood out and I don't know, my interpretation of it, I thought it was a worm.
So there's a little bit of there for everyone, for every generation, whether you're from New York, the tri-state area, a tourist. And we've had an amazing response by the community. We're seeing the museum full pretty much since the door was open. We're seeing men come to the exhibition, which traditionally women tend to be the patrons at museums. We've seen a lot of schools and school children, parents coming with their kids. So it's been really exciting to be able to watch and see.
All right, so it is on display right now. What are the museum hours?
So the museum is open Wednesday through Friday, 12 noon to 8 p.m., and Saturdays and Sundays, 10 to 5 p.m. And it'll be open through April 23rd.
And so if a school were watching right now and they needed to make arrangements, how would they go about doing so?
Sure. So if schools are interested in a personal tour, our personal tours are only up to 25 people, and they would have to arrange that with the Museum of FIT, and they can do that by contacting Lynn Salaberry. But if they want to come, the exhibit is open and free to the public, so they can come at any time through our viewing hours while we're open.
And then the book is available there as well.
Yes, our FIT Barnes & Noble bookstore is open all 6 days a week, actually Monday through Friday, 10 to 5 p.m., and then on Saturdays, only 10 to 1 p.m.
All right, so before we go, let's hop back into the book, right? Because I think we covered most of we skimmed through the different chapters. The only one that I feel that we didn't really touch upon was the color pink. I really like that chapter and just seeing how impactful the color pink was.
So look how life turns out. A couple of years ago, Dr. Monica Miller, who teaches at Barnard, and I did a talk at FIT for their Pink Symposium. And that was where the conversation really started. We didn't get a chance to write an article, and so it turned out, years later, what a perfect fit for our particular book. And pink is one of those colors that has an interesting history. Its original oranges really were around men wearing pink, and then in the 1950s, we started seeing it leaning towards women, and we kind of think it as the girly color. But in the African American community and Caribbean culture, pink is a universal color for both men and women in various hues. And we've seen now hip hop people show everything from like a light pink, bubblegum pink to a pure fuchsia. And we don't see it just in polo shirts. We're also seeing it in tailored clothing. Recently, Fat Joe wore a 5,000 wall custom suit, and that was at the Grammys in pink.
I know, and he looked fabulous in it too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So before we go, I do need you to share with us, right? Because we started with your trajectory, and I kind of hinted towards you being a single mom, 3 children. This is a really big undertaking, and what I would like to leave the audience with is how long it took you to do this, why it was so important for you to do it, and where do you see yourself going with it now?
Sure. So I pitched the idea 4 years ago. We got the green light in 2019, and as we were doing the research and the process of figuring out what brands we were going to include in the exhibition, then COVID happened, which changed the world. It had us kind of set back, but nonetheless, the world kind of started reopening, and that gave us that energy and fuel to not only do the exhibit. We switched and worked on the book, so the book got done first before the exhibit. We also had a symposium. And now, running that show, running its course, is just one aspect of my body of work.
Right.
For me,
You're also getting your PhD as well.
This is very personal to me. It's my culture. It's kind of setting the record straight while
that.
we are celebrating hip hop and the importance of hip hop style, which is American style. That's very important to state. It is still othered. It still is not completely embraced, and it's important to pay homage to those who not only originated the styles, but those who continue to create our fashion for years to come. As far as what's in store for the future, I hope to continue, having a wonderful career in broadcasting, continue to write and tell our stories, the stories that are not always told in mainstream media, and to complete my PhD and one day, have that title of doctor. And most importantly, my firstborn will be going to college next summer, and, getting her to make that a normalcy, right? We're going to college. We're celebrating it because she'll be the second generation to go to college. But, starting that road to, womanhood.
That's wonderful. You're a true inspiration, and I love that you made it your business to set the record straight and that you're able to pass that information forward, not only to your children, but the next generation from the perspective of an authentic voice.
Yeah, before somebody else tries to own it and claim it, right?
Exactly. And thank you for bringing it here. Elena Romero, everyone. Awesome. Once again, Elena Romero, Fresh Fly, Fabulous 50 Years of Hip Hop Style, co-curator and co-editor of the book. The Fresh Fly Fabulous 50 Years of Hip Hop Style exhibition is currently on display at the museum at FIT now through April 23rd, which is located at 227 West 27th Street. That's 227 West 27th Street. The accompanying book, The Fresh Fly Fabulous 50 Years of Hip Hop, is out everywhere books are sold. And Elena's discussion at Fotografiska Museum is set to take place Monday, March 20th, which is located at 281 Park Avenue South. And for more on Elena, visit elena-romero.com. Stay tuned, more open when we return.